Boom, 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 boom. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. All right, guys, just give me a second here. I'm organizing some stuff here. I think we got what I needed. I think. Let's just look, make sure. Mm-hmm. Alrighty. Alrighty. That looks good. Where is my sheet? It shows all of my stuff. Alright. Well, anyways. Alright, well, welcome, guys. This is your host, Tiny Jester. Let me just refresh my page over here because sometimes it goes all wanky. Wanky. Alright. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a video on the replay baseball system here for you guys. Kind of an overview. We played a lot of replay baseball on our channel here, actually, but we voted all using on the computer. And let's just say right off the bat, replay baseball on the computer is probably the best interface, best game uh, to enjoy playing on the computer because the interface is so well. You can watch other teams play. You can pause your game. So there's a lot of really cool things with it. Best interface keeps detailed statistical analysis. It has things such as like you know player of the day, game of the day, and kind of highlights everything that happens throughout the day. And it's just a great interface. I mean, just top notch. If you don't own the computer version, definitely pick that up. I think you can even download it like a trial version of it as well. So this is the Cards and Dice. So they just released the 2018 season as a PDF that you can download and print out. So that's what I did, and I decided to run my own game. But I thought before I did that, I would make a video here. Hey, APBA chatter, how you doing? Basically going over the system for you guys that haven't looked at replay baseball yet. So we're going to do that. So this is just going to be kind of an overview of the game system, analysis of how things go, show you a couple practice goes at things, and then yeah, and then we'll have another video where we actually play a game. We'll have some example gameplay things as we go along. But the rule book, basically, the rule books is about, I don't know, 6, 8 pages long. It's not very thick. And there's really only like 4 pages of rules. Then you get to like optional rules and stuff like that. So it's not very not too thick. Pretty easy. It's well explained and talks about how everything happens. And there is, and I wish all games would do this. It has a super good Scout Your Player card sheet, which really kind of overviews the different positions on the card, um, and kind of explains everything to you. So that's what I want to kind of go over is show you what the differences on the cards are, and then talk about the game system a little bit, do some practice examples for you, and then yeah, and then we'll have another video where we actually play an actual game of this. So anyways, let's take a look at the sample pitcher cards. So the pitcher cards, if you print everything out in color, as I've done on a couple pages here, if you print everything in color, the pitchers are going to be blue, and your batters are going to be red. So the batting cards will be in red, and your pitcher cards will be in blue. So they're easy to kind of tell apart. If you look at the red ones, these are going to be your batters, and the blue is for the pitcher. So let's look at the pitcher's card here and kind of go over what you see on the card, and then talk about it. So obviously it has the player name up here at the top. Gives you the season and the team they were playing for. If there is a split, and this is something that I wish, again, all gaming systems out there would do. All right. So, for example, if we look at this card here, this one actually shows you the teams he played for during that season. And the first team, it'll show you, I believe it's the team that he ended the season on, and then any other teams that he played for. I don't think it goes by most. I think it goes by he ended the season on St. Louis, he started the season on Seattle. If you have multiple there, I believe that's how that's set up. Um, so that's obviously very good because if you're like, oh man, I need this player, but I don't know which team he's on or whatever, you can go and look through your sets to find out where the player is. So you can see that Sam Tua I should know this because he's a Cardinal. Sam Tua Vioia, something like that. It's pretty close to that, anyways. He played for St. Louis. The end of the season on St. Louis, I think he started in Seattle. All right. It shows you their pitching, if they throw right-handed or left-handed over there in the corner. Then it gives their defensive ratings. So defensive ratings are going to go from 1 to 5, 5 being the best. And normally in this game, all higher numbers are better. Higher is usually better, better, better. But there is one very important exception we'll get to in just a minute. But normally higher is going to be better for everything. And the defenses are between 1 and 5, and that's normally because you're going to be rolling a dice. And in this case, he's got a defense of 3. So if you roll higher than the 3, let's say we rolled a 5 over here, then he did, obviously didn't make the play, or the ball, falls in for a double, or whatever the situation is. So you're normally rolling against this number here. The second number over there, the little number next to their defense, is going to be a 2-digit number. And that is basically their error chance to make an error. So 6-5. So in this case, you're going to roll 2 dice, and you're going to add them together. This is a 32. So again, if it's this number or lower, he makes the play. So Sam Tua Vioia, he's only going to make an error on a 6-6. So very small chance of having an error there because he's got a 65. So, you roll it. 53, he makes the play, etc., etc. Pitchers will have a hold rating here. Again, 1 to 5 and a wild pitch rating. And then all the way over here is going to be either, I'll give you a couple examples here. We'll show you. We'll put these cards side by side. All right, so if they're a starter, they're going to have a starting grade there, S for starter. And then it'll tell you what inning or how many innings he can pitch. So he's a starter. He can pitch up to 5 innings and before he becomes tired. And if he comes into the game, you're going to look at this little subset number. And this means if he comes in the 3rd inning or earlier, he actually gets an extra inning. So this is, if he starts the game, you can ignore that. But if for some reason the starting pitcher gets injured or hurt or whatever, and you need to bring in another starting pitcher, and we decided to bring in Kendall Graveman, if I can get this focused in again. Hey RF, how you doing? Come on, let's zoom in here. It's going to be all jerky for me, isn't it? Come on. It doesn't like the white cards. The white cards are the hardest. So, Kendall Graveman, he's a starter. He can go 5 innings before he gets tired. Like I said, you can ignore this set number of 3. But if for some reason you had to bring in Kendall Graveman, if you brought him in the 3rd inning or earlier, so the 1st, the 2nd, or the 3rd inning, he actually gets a extra inning of relief. All right. If we look at Sam here, you notice he doesn't have an S up here because he didn't start any games. So all he's got is an R, which stands for, obviously, reliever. Come on, focus, you stupid camera. God. There we go. So Sam over here, if I can look at Sam, here he is. He's a reliever. And this shows you how many batters he can face. He can face he can face 3 batters as a reliever. And again, this shows you what inning. If he comes in, he actually gets an extra inning of guys to go through. So how this works is, if I can get the damn thing to focus. There we go. So Sam, all right, if he comes in the 7th inning, all right, and pitches in the 7th inning, those 3 players don't count against him. So he can pitch, if he comes in the 6th inning, all right, he gets basically an extra inning of pitch. He comes in the 8th inning, then he can only face 3 batters. So that's how that number works, and it's pretty well explained in the rule book. It's not too hard to understand. So there's lots of little numbers and everything on here. If they have a starting, they might also have a starter and a reliever on their card if they did both, but that's their starting rating, and that is their reliever number. And then they also have on here, if you don't want to use this system, you can just say he can face 22 batters, and then he's done. And then he will be tired, and we'll show you how tired works. Pitchers and batters will have a 6x6 grid on their chart. We're going to show you how all that works. They also have, for the pitchers, whenever they become tired because they've reached their limit or whatever, instead of using their 6x6 grid, you're going to use this grid down here at the bottom that will show you the number that the pitcher will be adding to the batter's results. It gives the age of the pitcher, and then it will show you his bats. He left or right-handed batter, which card number to use, I believe, is that number there. So first set of numbers is left righty, and then the hitting card, there's only 6 hitting cards, batter hitting cards, so he uses batting hitting card number 1. It goes from 1 to 6, 1 being the worst card, 6 being the best card, so you can tell that, who is this, Kendall Graveman, not very good at hitting. And then the little raised number there, the little 3 there, is his, that's his batting, bunting rating. So he's a bunt of 3 there. And then this is his, when he's on base, this is his run rating. Let's see here. What is that number? His steal rating and then his jump rating. So this be his. Let's zoom in a little closer here. So again, it's going to be, he's a right-handed batter. He uses batter card number 1. He bunts with a 3. Again, 1 to 5. Most stats are 1 to 5. 3 is average. And then this is going to be his run rating on base, which is 1, which is pretty slow. This is his steal rating, which is L. And then that's his attempt rating, which is 0. And then down underneath, you're going to have a hit and run chart in case somebody puts on the hit and run. If they are not tired, they use the A column, and then if they are tired, they use the B column. So that's how that's what the pitcher card. Then of course you have your season stats down here as well for each of the pitchers. So the card looks a little complicated, but it's really not that bad. Do you have a set time and night for your live broadcast? Enjoyed a couple that I've seen. No, I don't. I normally do it every day or every couple days, usually in the evenings. There isn't really a set schedule, but I appreciate you signing up, Ray. So thank you very much for that. I belong to a really good sports gaming community here, and we kind of all just share the airways with one another. Some other channels you might want to check out: Red Sox Fan, Retro Sports Network, uh, Baseball Demos, um, gosh, Stratomatic Delaware, and you can link most of those channels from my channel as well. So we just kind of share, if somebody's running something. I think Retro Sports Network is running a baseball game tonight, so you might want to head over there. I think he's running at about 7 o'clock. So I'm going to try and make this a little quick tonight. And then we're going to have an actual game of this later on when nobody else is running their live streams. I'll jump back on. So you can see down here at the bottom, he started 7 games. He didn't relieve any. He pitched 34 innings, 7.68 ERA, 1-5, and a WHIP of 1.68. Again, this is Replay Baseball. The best computer interface simulation game out there is Replay Baseball, without a doubt. Doesn't mean it's the best game out there, but the best interface and design for a baseball game ever. So that's the pitcher card. Let's look at the batter card now. I've got a few examples here of the batter cards. All right, so we'll look at a couple players here. So obviously, again, it's got the player's name, it's got the season you've downloaded and printed out, and the team that he was playing. Again, if there's multiple teams, it would list who's there. Great, thanks for the welcome. I am currently subscribed to some you mentioned, and we'll check out the others. Yeah, I mean, if you just keep coming to their live streams, they'll introduce you to a lot more as well. We got Rob Explanation Points, Sports Time Machine. If you're just looking specifically for baseball, if you're looking for sports in general, everyone kind of does their own little thing. But and I do my own little thing. But we all get along, we help one another, and we just try to make one another's channels really good. And we just form into a nice little sports gaming community. So welcome aboard, Ray. I do appreciate it very much. We're looking at Replay Baseball. So over here in the, so you'll have the different positions the players had kind of in the middle of the card. So for Boog Powell, he just played center field. And if there was other positions listed, like say for example, if we look at this guy here, Raymond Torres, he's got second position, or second base and third base. So it kind of goes first base, second base, short, third base, left field, center field, right field, and catcher. So you will see those. Let's see if we have one. Here's one not in color, but you can see left field, center field, and right field there. So a little subset number before left field, right field, and center field is how many games they started in that position. So Matt Joyce played 49 games in left field, 3 in center, and 6 in right field. The number after the position is going to be, again, your fielding rating. Higher is better, 1 to 5, right? And then the number after that, let me make sure I get this correctly now, is it's going to be their arm rating. So you got your arm rating here, 433 in the parentheses. And then the last number is a 2-digit number, and it's going to be from 11 to 66. I think actually 65 is the highest. Maybe not, because I suppose if they didn't make any error, they would be a 66. But that is their chance of having an error, and you're going to roll 2d6. And if the number is less than or equal to that number, it will not be an error. So if we look at Matthew Joyce, he played 49 games in left field. He has a range, in this game they don't call it range, they call it defensive statistic, or defensive ability, I guess is what they call it, defensive ability of 3. But think of that as their range. He has an arm of 4, again 1 to 6, and then 11 to 66 is going to be his error chance. Obviously, higher number is better. So it doesn't make very many errors in center field and right field, but makes a few errors, not too many, in left field. All right, so we've been talking about positions, right? Right. Let's see if I can find like a good example here. We will look at Jed Lowry here. So put this like this. So Jed Lowry, if I can get it to focus on him, that would be awesome. Al Red Sox fans, speak of the devil. Uh, all right, come on. Let's zoom in there. There we are. Jed Lowry. So again, you're going to have your different positions here in the middle. Jed Lowry started 136 games at second base, only 14 at third base. And then again, is their defensive number. But this is the biggest confusing thing in the game, and there's a reason why. Every time it's always better to be higher, 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 unless you're talking about your infielders' range. In that case, lower is better. Lower is better because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding this number to players. So we don't want to add more. You don't want to have a higher number because you're going to add a higher number to them. So infielders, first base, second base, shortstop, and third base. So all these positions will be on the left-hand side of the card. The range, you want them to be all ones. Ones and twos are really good. So if you look at, say, here's Matt Olson here. Matt Olson at first base. If I can get it to zoom in on Matt Olson here. Come on. Yeah, white cards are just a problem. If I put up something like this, it should be able to, yeah, see how quick it focuses in on that? It can't pick up the text on the white. So Matt Olson here, 162 games. All 162 games he started at first base. And he's got a 1, which is really, really good. That's the best you can have. All right. So your infielders on this position here, which is first base, second base, shortstop, and third base, you want that number to be low. Everything else in the game is high, 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 right? Except for like your wild, yeah. All right. Then we look at this is their run rating, their steal rating, and then this is their jump rating. So he's a run rating of 2, a steal of D, and his jump rating of L or 1. Then left or right-handed batters, right? Left or right-hander batters, and there are also Bs for both. Like this guy here, Jed Lowry is a both, right? Somewhere along there, we'll get him zoomed in. There he is. So he's a both. So he bats both left and right-handed. Then of course you got your little matrix here, 6x6 matrix. We're going to show you how that works. Then of course you got the hit and run ratings here, and then their real life statistics down here, and your bunt rating 1 to 5, 5 being the best bunter, 1 being the worst bunter. Again, everything normally you want is high. The only thing you don't want is high is your infield range. You want your infield range to be low. All right, so you got your hit and run rating, and then of course you have your real life statistics there for your player there. All right, so let me put these back in order here. There we go, and kind of put my thing back in position here. So the game is actually really simple when you understand the basic premise behind it, and the basic premise behind it is pretty simple in itself. And why do I keep getting text? All right. So the basic premise is you're going to be rolling 3 6-sided dice, each of them a different color, red, white, and blue, or black, yellow, and pink. I don't care, whatever you want. It's fine. The red dice is going to be used on both the pitcher card and the hitter card, and it's going to tell you which column you're going to be using. So we're going to either use column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, column 5, or column 6, obviously. Each one of these columns represents something different, and we'll show you what these do. So it doesn't. So this is used on both cards. So I kind of like put it in the middle because it's used on both cards. The white dice tells you what row you're going to be using for each of the batter. And the blue dice shows you what row you're going to use on the pitcher card. So we're going to be using column 4, and we're going to be using 2. So we go to 4, 2, and that's a 1. And then we're going to go to column 4, and we're going to look at 2, and that's going to be the second baseman. So whatever the second, remember how I was telling you, you always want to have a high number except for your range, right? For your infielders. Well, this is why. Let's spend a minute and talk about your columns on each of the cards, right? So specifically, we'll look at a pitcher's card first. All right. So column 1 and column 2 are going to be your strikeouts. How well the pitcher can strike people out. And again, these are 1 to 5. And this is where another thing that you want to keep is low. I keep telling you there's only one thing, but it's not true. There's a few things in the game which makes it a little confusing. Kendall Graveman is not a good. You can just tell by his numbers. He's, if 1 is the lowest and 5 is the highest, you can tell if he was all 3s, he'd be average. But he's got a few 4s and some 5s mixed in there, so he's not an even average pitcher. He's below average. If we look at, say, Blake Terrien and compare between Blake Terrien and Kendall Graveman. Now, Kendall Graveman only started 7 games in this season, and he didn't stay in the big leagues much after that, and probably that shows you why. When you look at Blake Terrien there, he's got mostly 1s, 2 or 3 sprinkled in here or there. So low is really, really good for the pitcher. So if you look at a card and they're all 1s, they're really, really good. If they're all 5s, they're really, really bad. And if they're all 3s, he's average. And then anything in between that, if he's got mostly 3s with a couple 4s sprinkled in, then he's an average pitcher going towards, not as good. So, your first column and your second column for pitchers is about getting strikeouts. All right. Your third column is their chance to allow hits to happen. So you can see Kendall Graveman, if we go 1 to 5 on this, he's really, really bad at allowing hits. So lots of hits are going to happen off of his card. And then column 4 is a special column. And this is going to be your infield range error checks. All right. So every pitcher is always the same on column 4. And it's going to be first base, second base, third base, short, second base. And if we look at every single pitcher card, doesn't matter if they're left-handed or right-handed, they're all the same. First base, second base, third base, short, second base. So there's 2 chances to go to short, 2 chances to go to second, 1 to go to first, and 1 go to third. All right? So it doesn't matter. All the pitchers are the same on the 4 column. So once you know the 4 column, you won't even need to really look at the pitcher's card much. You'll know which pitcher. And what we're going to be doing on this is we're going to take, in our example here, we rolled a 4-2, which is a 1 on the batter card, and a 4-2, which is the second baseman. So we're going to find our second baseman here, which happens to be Jed Lowry. Looked at him earlier. And we're going to take his range number of 3 and add it to whatever the batter got. So 3 plus 1 is 4. And we're going to look on the chart and see what a 4 is. And that's the basic premise that you're going to use for everything. But like I said, the 4 column is a little bit different because it goes specifically to a specific player. And you're going to add their defensive value. So lower numbers are going to add less to the batter's numbers. And that's going to help keep the batter from getting as many hits. Your 5 column is the pitcher's control, whether they throw lots of walks or they can turn, make the batters hit into double plays or, their control value. So a lot of walks, not many hits come out of there. Mostly going to be, walks or, strikeouts because they didn't, have a high enough value. And then your sixth column for pitchers is your tendency to surrender the long ball, give up home runs, right? So you can see he's going to give up lots of home runs because they're all fives, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. Uh, so lots and lots and lots of home runs. So if he was a 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, he doesn't give up many home runs. If he's a 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, he's kind of in the average, et cetera, et cetera. Uh, so that's what the pitcher's cards do. Now let's look at the batter's cards, right? Uh, the batter's cards, kind of the same thing, right? Ones and twos is their abilities to get out of strikeouts and get hits instead of strikeouts, right? 3 is your base hits. 4 is getting hits against the defensive positions. 5 is turning strikeouts into walks. And then 6 is your home runs and doubles and triples and all that. The special thing about the batter cards is there is usually one in the second column, one in the third column, and one in the fourth column that's shaded. And in this case, if you use the optional rule, which I think should be a standard part of the rule, you use, instead of the number that's in there, you're going to roll on each of the different stadiums has their own little card that comes in and can adjust the values. So if you're using the second column or the third column or the sixth column, you're going to roll on this chart instead of use the number that's in that. If you don't want to use these, you don't have to. You can just take whatever's in there, but then your ballparks don't have any effect. Yeah, I agree with Al. They have a formula down that create these cards really quickly. If batter has such and such, then these will be the numbers he gets, type thing. So yeah, so there's most batters will have, in different positions, one in the second column, one in the third column, one in the sixth column. They'll have a shaded value on there. And, some of these numbers you'll get used to seeing, kind of like APBA, like a 13 in APBA is a strikeout. In replay baseball, ones usually are going to result in strikeouts because I'm going to show you the chart here in a minute. And we'll go from there. So you have to kind of, in the beginning, it's just like an APBA card where you don't know, is an 18 good or is an 18 bad? I have no idea. But after a while, you'll realize 18's not good, 1s are not good, 11's decent, 9s are pretty good, 60s are not bad, et cetera, et cetera. So you'll start to learn the numbers and you'll look at a card and go, oh, okay, this guy does this and that and all this. Now there is also some more lefty righty split things. Let's see if I have anybody that has anything that shows you lefty righty splits. Nope, and nope. Let me just look through my cards real quickly here. Because you'll come across some other kind of, oh, here's a good example. Okay, so let's look at Mark Canha. So you can see over in his sixth column, he's got a split there at 11/59 in the 6-1 and 11/59 in the 6-4 spot. Well, that's basically lefty righty there as well. So if he's facing a left-handed pitcher, he's going to use the 11. If he's facing a right-handed batter, he uses the 59. Okay. You'll also have sometimes little symbols, like your little up symbols and stuff in there, and it'll actually show you on the charts if player has this symbol, then do this instead, or little asterisk is. Now the asterisk for the players is if he gets a base hit off of this, then he'll try to steal the next base. So there's a built-in steal system in the game, or you can use your own steal system if you want to call your own steals. But if you don't want to call your own steals, you just want to run the game, the asterisk is on the player's cards represents if he gets a hit and second base is open, then he will try to steal it. If there's a double asterisk there, he will automatically steal second base, and then he'll try to steal third base as well if third base is open. So you can see that more asterisks means the player is going to try to steal more. Let's see what other special results we might get. So a lot of times on the pitcher's card, there's going to be a number and then a raised number, right? So in the charts, it'll say, if the pitcher has a raised number, roll the d6. If the number rolled is equal to or less than the raised number, then it's a strikeout instead of a walk, or whatever the ratings are, right? Let's see. There's one other one I want to kind of show you because I got a question from our good friend out there, Combat Painter, who didn't even know that I had Replay Baseball, but he sent me and said, "Hey, do you know anything about Replay Baseball? Because I don't know what the C rating on a pitcher's card is, and I want." Oh, that's not the right game. So I'm hoping to find one that has a C rating to show you what they do. But basically what that does is it's going to send it over to the 6 column or back and forth depending on. So like if a pitcher doesn't give up many long balls but they give up lots of hits, what it'll end up doing is moving you from one column to the other column. And if I can find one of these cards, I will be happy to show you that and how it works. If I can't find one, then you'll just have to believe me. Of course, I can't find one when I need one, but probably run across a whole bunch when I don't need them. Well, I can't really find one off the top of my head, but hopefully we'll find one for you there sometime. So again, the basic premise behind this is the red dice shows you which column you're looking at for both the pitcher and the batter. The white dice is what row, and the blue dice on the row on the batter. The blue dice tells you what row on the pitcher card, and you just add those numbers together. So if we rolled this, say a 1, 6, 5. So 1 and a 6, column 1, 6 is a 45, and a 1, 5 is a 3. So we just add 45 and 3, and it's 48. And that brings us to our charts, right? So let me actually try to get them organized-ish. Here we are. All right, so you have a column 1 chart, you have a column 2 chart. So, we were on column 1, we ended up getting a 45 or 46 or so. We got a 48, so we just look down and find out 46 to 50 is a strikeout or a comebacker to the pitcher. With second base and shortstop playing halfway score, this is ground ball back to the pitcher who throws to second. Roll a die against the pitcher's defensive rating. If the bases are loaded, force out is at home. Blah blah blah. So you just read your little section on whether what the play is. And a lot of times, as you can see here, a lot of times it'll say, check the blue. Is it a single? We're gonna check something, and you just kind of follow along with it. So let's give you another example here. All right, so again, we're going to be in the second column, and we're a 4 there and a 5 there. So it's a 2, 4. 2, 4 is 16, and a 2, 5 is a 4. So 16 and 4 is 20. So we're going to look at the column 2, and we're going to look at 20. And a 20 is a fly out to right field. With a runner on third base and less than 2 outs, score this is a sacrifice fly. So you can see between 18 and 21, it's just a matter of it goes to center field, right field, or left field. Again, this is kind of like another APBA thing where once you learn column 2, 18, 19, 20, 21, you're going to start to learn those numbers. You're going to know, oh, okay, that's just a fly out to right field, and you won't need to look at the charts all the time, right? But you can see that, sometimes not just a hit is not just a hit. You got to look, if the pitcher has a star, beside his column 2 grade, results 12 to 16 are going to be changed to a pop out to first base. If a pitcher has a W beside his column 2 grade with bases empty, the results 12 to 16 are going to be changed into a base on ball. So remember how I was telling you, sometimes you'll find other, like here's a good example of this. If we look at Garrett Richards here, on his 2 column, he's got a 1W in the 2-5 and a 1W in the 2-6. So in this case, if the pitcher has a W beside his column 2 grade with bases empty, results between 12 and 16 are going to be changed to a base on balls. So he's going to give up more walks based on having the W there. So, you'll start to learn that again as you start playing more and more on that. So let's give it a show here and show you guys a little bit. Some realistic gameplay here. So we're in the top of the first inning. Kendall Graveman, as you can tell, not very great. He's going to go up against Zach Gozard. And this is a game we're going to be playing. This is the 2018 opening day between Oakland and Los Angeles. This is just going to be test. We're going to start fresh when we actually play the game. But I'm just going to, this is more just a tutorial explanation. Oh, yeah, so charts. So you got column 1, column 2, you got column 3, column 4, you got column 5, and column 6. So there's your 6 columns. So you're going to have 3 pages of charts. Pretty in-depth charts. Sometimes you're going to get something really easy, and sometimes you might have to, look and compare. So like on column 6 is 17 to 18 is a deep fly out to left field. Runner's going to score from third if there's less than 2 outs. If you look at the 16, though, there's like 2 different charts here and different explanations. So once you run a couple plays here and there, eventually you'll get used to them and you'll be able to do them pretty quickly because they're all pretty much the same. Here's a 22 to 26 is a long single to the outfielder. Runners are going to advance 2 bases. Batter may try for a double. We're going to roll the red and white dice for the umpire's call. And it kind of goes through like a little example for you there. So the charts are really well done. Again, 3 pages of charts for your columns. Then you have a hit and run chart, right? And this gives you, your totals on the hit and run for the pitcher and the batter. And certain numbers are going to be better than other certain numbers. And then you have a chart. So that's a hit and run chart. You have a bunt play chart, sacrifice bunt, squeeze bunt, and a bunt for a hit, and your bunt rating. And you're going to look at the 2 through 12. So, and then your key over here on the left-hand side. You're going to have an action chart, which is going to be used to determine on your stolen bases what happens. And then you have a third base coach because sometimes the runner will make it to third. Is he going to be sent home? Is he going to be held at third base? So this is your third base coach chart. So you got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages of charts. Nice color coded charts. Really well designed, well done. not too complex. You're not going to use the hit and run chart that often. Your bunt and your steal won't come into play all the time in your third base coach. Obviously, you want to have your main charts, your main boards, column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, column 5, and column 6. You want to have those up somewhere where you can look at them pretty quickly and easily. So let's do a couple examples here just to give you kind of an overview of how things are happening. And then I might set the dice a certain way to give you an example of something that maybe we don't roll that maybe you want to see. Yes, this is the new PDF version, brand new PDF version, and the new PDF charts that they just released as well. So Kendall Graveman against Zach Kozar. So again, this is going to tell us which column. This is for the batter. That's for the pitcher. So 3-1, 13, 3-3 is 5. That's going to be 18 on column 3. We go to 18 on column 3. That is going to be a double down the line into left field. Runners are going to advance 2 bases, and we're going to check with the third base coach for any extra base attempts. So if there's a runner that was on first, on the double, we would check with the third base coach to see if he's being held or headed or whatever. Now you can override the third base coach because you can play runners safe. You can also play runners aggressive, and these will adjust things as well. So we got a leadoff double by Zach Kozar, so he is on second. That brings up Mike Trout. Again, we're just going to go through a couple examples, show you guys how easy this really is. There occasionally, it might take you, when you first start, it might take you a couple minutes to figure out, okay, all right, so it's a ground out. Now I got to check this. And then I got to look at this rating, and does this apply, type thing. And it might take you a little bit, but after you do a couple of the plays, a couple of the more complex ones, there's some really simple ones. There's a lot of medium complexity ones, which is good because it adds a lot of variety in. The line drive, is it a single or is it an error? Or it's a line drive single plus an error, so we got to check. Oh, okay, we're going to check the dice to see if it's the left field, the right field, or the center fielder. And then we're going to roll an error check. Oh, okay, that's not, it's not too bad. But there is some more complex ones that will take you a little while to figure out how to play them, right? All right, so we got a runner second. We have nobody out. Kendall Graveman at home, the Oakland A's 2018. Taking on Mike Trout and the Los Angeles Angels. First game of the season. Again, this is just going to be a practice. We'll play the actual game out at a later date. All right, so we're up 6, power comma. So 6-5 is a 36, and a 6-5 is a 5. So 36 and 5, 41 on column 6. 41. So 37. Look at that. 37 to 41 is a strikeout. If it had been a 42, it's a solid hit to left field. So that's where, every point that you add can change an out into a hit, or, if we could add one more point, it would have went from 42, would have went to 40, or went from 41 would have gone to 42, and that would have been a solid hit to left field. But fortunately, Kendall Graveman gets a strikeout on Trout, just barely. So Justin Upton, runner second. All right, so it is 4, column 4. So a 4-6 is going to be a 1. And a 4-3, again, the 4 column for the pitchers tells us which infielder position. So it's a ball hit to third base. So we've got to find out how good is our third baseman, right? Our third baseman is going to be Matt Chapman, and he's going to add a total of only 1. He's a really good defender. So 1 plus 1 is 2. So 1 from the batter's card, one from the pitcher's card based upon his infielder's range. So 2 on column number 4. I already know what that is, but I'm going to show you. All right, so we got column 4. And we're going to, you can look at the blue die for the fielder. But 2 to 11 is grounder out at first. Runners advance one base. Runner on second holds on a grounder to short or third base. Runner on third holds on a ball hit to third base. So this was hit to third base. Runners advance one base. Runner on second holds on a ground ball to short or third base. So he's going to hold on the ground out to third base. So Upton's out. So Kendall Graveman trying to get through the first inning here. Kendall Graveman against Albert Pujols. Hey, how you doing there, Combat Painter? Woohoo! So just a short tutorial for you guys. I'm going to get offline because I know you guys want to, there's some people running some stuff tonight, and I don't want to hold everyone. I just wanted to kind of give everyone an overview of this game. So Kendall Graveman, two-away runner at second. And we're on column 6, power, 3, and a 5. So 6-3 is a 31, and a 6-5 is a 5. So 31 and 5, 36 on column 6. So 36 on column 6 is a short fly out to right fielder. Runners hold. If the catcher has a K beside his column 6 grade, and the result is any out, scored as a strikeout. So instead of a short fly out, it would have been a strikeout instead. So 36, he hits it out to left field. I'm sorry, 36 is right field. But that is good enough for Kendall Graveman to get through the first inning, and that's how that goes. Now you just switch sides. So Garrett Richards will be pitching off against Matt Joyce, obviously, and you go through the game, blah, blah, blah. So that pretty much covers most everything in the game. There's a couple. Here, I'll show you kind of a more difficult one here. Let's say if we roll a 2 and a 6 and no, 2, 6, 2, 6 and 2. There we go. So let's say we rolled a 2, 6 and 2 for Albert instead. So 2, 6 is normally a special, like I talked about in the beginning, a special zone where you're going to be testing the outfielder's range, right? And there's this little, let's see if I can show you guys here. So if we look at Albert Pujols again, come on. It doesn't like the white. It just can't focus on the white very good. So 2, 6, you see how it's color coded in the background there. All right. So 2, 6 is 55, and the upper little number is a 3. So basically what that means is if you don't use the ballpark charts, right, if the outfielder has a range or a defensive value higher than 3, then he'll make the play. If he doesn't, then he won't make the play, right? But because, like I said, you can use the ballpark cards instead, and you can see on a column 2, you're going to roll the dice again, and you're going to look at the numbers. So in this case, a 3 is a 3, or a 3 is a, so we rolled a 3, and that's a 2, because, so instead of, using the number on the card for the player, this takes into, how big the outfield is and how much foul territory there is and everything. So we're going to add 2 to the value. And we rolled a 2 up here, which was a 3, right? So if we look at our 55, put the charts over here. So column 2, See if I can zoom in here. So it's going to be, you take your 55 and you add 1 to 5. It doesn't matter. They all do the same thing. So you'll learn this as an easy way to kind of, speed up the game. So 55 plus 1 to 5, it doesn't matter what the result is. It's all the same thing. It's a looping drive to the outfield. We're going to be testing the outfielder's defense. If it's higher than the raised number, besides the 55 on the batter's card, he has made a fine running catch for a flyout. So instead of obviously doing this, we're going to be using the number off of our card that we got from here. In this case, it's a 2. We look at the blue dice. It tells us 1 to 2 is left field, 3 to 4 is center, and 5 to 6 is right field. So it was to the left fielder. So if you look at our left fielder, let's see who was playing left here. It's actually Chris Davis is playing left in this game. So he's got a range of 2, which is not higher than the 2 that we rolled on the card. Remember, we rolled a 3, which is a 2, so he did not make the catch. So look at the bottom of our chart here. If the defensive value is not higher than the race number, the ball falls in for a single. Runners advance 1 base, 2 bases if their speed is higher than the outfielder's arm, or there's 2 outs. So again, if we look at if you missed the beginning, Chris Davis here in left field. In left field, he started 11 games in left field. His defensive rating is a 2, his arm is a 1, and his error is a 65. So 65 or less, a 1, not very good, and a 2, not very good in range either. This is his base running. Base running a 2, his steal attempt is L, and his jump rating is a 0. This is his left to righty handedness. If you're just joining us, that's how those numbers go. But definitely check out the beginning of this video. The game plays, it's a little bit different because, it kind of reminds me of like APBA, because you're going to end up with a number. Like if you, play something else, whatever. If you play, payoff pitch, right? If you play payoff pitch, you're going to get your results. Oh, it's a pop up to the third baseman. It's a ground ball to third baseman. It's a liner to short, whatever, right? So you get a lot of game systems have this on there. We're very familiar with this, right? The only game that I can think of that doesn't have that is like APBA, where it gives you a number, you got to look the number up on a chart. It's kind of the same thing with this, but you're going to be combining the value on your batter's card and the pitcher's card together to come up with a number. You're going to look at the number on the chart, and then that number will tell you what had happened. If you're confused with this, definitely check out. You can download a free demo of Computer Replay Baseball, best game interface in the business, Replay Baseball. I cannot tell you how much better it is than every other baseball game out there interface-wise. I'm not talking about how well the game plays or the game system. I'm talking about the interface and what they do with the actual program, okay? Best out there without a doubt. So you can download that. You can play the demo, learn the game, watch the numbers, download your little rules, and you can see how the game plays. It's definitely helped me understand these charts a lot easier. And I think overall it's a pretty sweet little game. I would say, though, if you plan on playing it, cards and dice, you're definitely going to be using your player's stats a lot, which is good, okay, which is a good thing. But you don't want to keep flipping through the cards to look for the player's stats all the time. So I would definitely create a lineup sheet or something and have that all written out ahead of time, because you're going to be using those numbers all the time. You're going to be looking to see if they make the play, if they're ranged on their defense. how much they're adding to the play, what their arm values are, what their error values are, how fast they run, what their steal ability chance is. So I would definitely highly recommend that if you're going to do a cards and dice, you would have some kind of a cheat sheet that gives the lineup with all their different ratings on it, and you're going to need your defensive ability, your arm value, your error range, and your speed for each of your different positions for sure. Uh, Pitchers, you're going to have these cards probably out in front of you, so I wouldn't worry about writing those information down. But definitely for each of the players, it'll help speed up the game for sure. Alrighty, guys. I want to just give you guys just a little bit of an overview. We're going to run an actual game of this probably later tonight when everyone else is done doing their live streams. So I just wanted to jump on real quick, kind of give an overview of replay baseball. And, I know there's a lot of people don't play this system a lot. I think it's a shame because I like the system. I think a lot of people don't because they don't understand how you get from point A to point B. So hopefully, by just watching, uh, this explanation and watching a couple games being played, maybe you'll be something that you might like to look at. So, anyways, Clinton's in the house. Great channel there. We have a great channel with Combat Painter and his payoff pitch. We have Ken Castro's in the house. Ken, have you started doing live streams yet? I am Sporticus is in the house as well. APBA Chatter, RF, Al Red Sox fan. Great channel there. See if I missed anybody. Ray, welcome to our wonderful community. Check out all these channels we've been talking about. Ray Gosman. He's a new member, wants to be part of our community. So I just think that's wonderful if we can add someone else to our community. Ray, welcome. Definitely check out a lot of these channels we just talked about. Clinton Parks, Combat Painter, Al Red Sox fan. A lot of other good channels out there. Just you'll learn them as you start coming out to our different live streams that we have. Retro Sports Network is going to be having one, I think, shortly, or maybe Rob. Rob might actually be running one right now, as a matter of fact. Rob Explanation Point. If someone could put his channel in the chat to introduce Ray over to Rob Explanation Point, that would be very helpful. Baseball Demos. Yes, Baseball Demos actually did a couple games of way back in the day. I remember seeing his games on replay, and that's what got me into replay in the beginning was Baseball Demos. So definitely check out his channel. He does a wonderful job on all of his stuff. But if you're looking for more replay, definitely check out Baseball Demos. Not crazy about writing down all the stats. I mean, you don't have to, but you'll be using new stats, and you're going to have to keep referencing, all the different player cards quite a bit. Like I said, if you look at the charts, you're going to look for an error. I think that's probably it in column 1. Column 2, you're going to check for stars, walks. You're going to check for looping drive. You're going to check for defense. 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 Column 3, you're going to check with third base coach. You're going to check with the outfielder's arm. Third base coach. I wouldn't say every play has something like that, but there's a lot of them that do. Here's error. So, I mean, error check, error check, error check. So there's a lot of, you know, I couldn't see playing this unless I had all the stats written down. That's all I'm saying. I mean, you might find it easier to do it without having the stats written down, but and if you haven't played it, go to Replay Baseball, get their computer version, download that, and check it out. Yeah, I was talking about that. There's going to be certain numbers you're going to memorize. You know, like column 2 to 6 strikeout. That's going to happen all the damn time, right? So you're going to know after a little bit. Column 2 to 6, it's a strikeout. 7 and 10 or 7 to 11 is going to be a flyout. It just depends on which position. You know, column 1 2 to 6 strikeout. So you can see the same numbers on column 1 or 2. 2 to 6 is a strikeout. So that's what I was telling you earlier. If you look at the batter's cards, right? If we look at the batter's cards, you see that 1, right? And the pitcher's card is only going to give you between 1 and 5 points. So with this 1, the most you can get is a 6. We just looked, right? We just looked, right? We just looked at this. Column 1, 2 to 6 is a strikeout. So I know right off the bat, if I roll on Zach Kozar and I roll 1-1, that's a strikeout. A 1-3, that's a strikeout. A 1-5, that's a strikeout. That's 2/3 of his card is strikeout right there. You're going to learn this stuff really quickly, and you're going to start to see the different numbers. 35s are probably, if we can call them 35s are going to be, it's going to be a ground ball. Because 35 plus 1 to 5 points off the pitcher's card is going to be a ground ball. So 35 plus 1 is 36. 35 plus 5 is 40, right? So a 35, if I can get it to zoom in again, a 35 is going to be, you know, it's going to be a ground ball out. Because 36, 37, 38, 39, and 40 are all ground outs. So I can see that Kozar is going to strike out. Come on, Kozar. Zoom in, buddy. Come on. There he goes. So 1-1, he's going to strike out. 1-2, he's going to ground out. 1-3, he's going to strike out. 1-4, he's going to ground out. 1-5, he's going to strike out. And 1-6 is going to be a roll against the pitcher's defensive rating. It's going to be ground out to the pitcher, possible double play. So one column on Zach Kozart's not good. Alrighty. Well, that's, like I said, that's just kind of a broad overview, kind of, well, I guess, detailed explanation of the system. And we're going to actually try this out later. If you guys are available, come on back. But right now, I'm going to get off the line and let some other people run some stuff. And then if nobody's running something later, I will get back on and we'll do a little live stream of Replay Baseball. If you haven't checked this game out, definitely do it. They have PDF versions you can start to download now. They got the 2018 season and the new PDFs as well. So the cards are, you know, pretty nice. Yes, there's a lot of detail on them, but because there's a lot of detail, that gives you lots of options of things to happen, right? It's not just a ground out to second, right? It's hardly ever do you get just a simple ground out to second, which is nice if you like, you know, complex plays. You feel like part of the game. So, anyways, that's it, guys. Thanks for coming on by. We'll see y'all soon. Take care now.